Hello folks, welcome back to the channel, and indeed this is some raw footage of xplane 12 in VR using various VR headsets. I'm starting with the Reverb G2 since I think that's the most popular on the channel, and particularly for flight simulation in general. It's also worth noting I'm not using Steam VR, and in fact I'm using the open composite layer. That is something that definitely improves performance, and if you'd like to see a tutorial on that, please do let me know in the comments below. Please bear in mind also that this is early access, so things are going to be very rough around the edges, including clouds, which actually sometimes look fantastic, but most of the time look absolutely terrible. And that extends, unfortunately, to the performance in VR with the Reverb G2, at least in Openxr mode. And let's listen to a bit of ATC.
Tower, 0 Charlie Romeo, request landing.
0 Charlie Romeo, turn right heading 260, runway 080, wind 060 degrees at 9 knots.
I thought it would be actually quite interesting for you to hear ATC and see how I'm actually controlling the menu with the yoke itself. What an ingenious idea, and it makes you feel a bit more connected to the aircraft and you're actually pushing to talk, you know, on your yoke. So please, Laminar, keep developing the ATC. I do like it very much. This is the Humber Bridge, by the way, just basically north of Lincolnshire, near Hull. Very, very nice point of interest using Openxr True Earth, Great Britain. But, you know, the frame rate is pretty bad. This is real-world weather. I'm using the same real-world setting for all of my VR headsets in this test. Let's now crack on and have a look at the Pimax 8Kx. Now, I have to say, this really surprised me. The performance with the Pimax 8Kx actually better than the Reverb G2. I think a lot of that is down to the fact that you do need an extra layer in order for it to support the Vulkan API in xplane. Hopefully that will change in the future once Laminar provide native support for Openxr VR headsets. Now, I know this might look a bit weird on the VR mirror, and that is because simply I am using a very wide field of view headset. At the time of recording, I do need to use the open composite again for the Pimax 8Kx, and you do need parallel reprojections on, which is a shame actually, because I think a 30% boost in performance is definitely something that could be had, again, if Laminar research support parallel reprojection in the future. But overall, I actually ended up flying with the Pimax 8Kx for about an hour because I was enjoying it that much. It just looked really, really good in xplane 12. And yeah, better than the Reverb G2. Can you believe it? I certainly can't. I just want to also say something about the Reverb G2 that I'm really shocked about. Laminar research, why didn't you give us default controls for the G2 controllers like you did the Quest 2? I don't understand that. So that's the first thing you're going to have to sort of sort out with the controllers, is binding buttons to them. It takes, you know, a few minutes, but it's a bit of a pain and quite cumbersome when you're trying to sort of do it in VR. Anyway, I think it's now time to check out what the VARJO AERO can do in xplane 12. Here we go. Now, this really did surprise me. This is the VARJO AERO now, and by far this was the most enjoyable experience out of all the headsets, even including the Quest 2, which actually performed pretty well. These are my settings, by the way. I haven't really mentioned that yet, but I'm using quite high settings here, but with render resolution at full native resolution. I'm not using FSR because that is quite blurry. Render distance at high, shadow quality medium, vegetation medium, as well as world objects set to high, and clouds at maximum. And even at medium level, interestingly, that didn't seem to affect performance too much. So I think the clouds are optimized. They just need to look good in VR, and right now they really don't. So I guess my conclusion is, right now xplane 12 in VR sucks. Quite honestly, it's not a very nice experience, but it will get better. I'm pretty confident of that. The best headset so far for me is the VARJO AERO, closely followed by the Quest 2 and Pimax. The Reverb G2 is the worst in this test. I think the only other thing to say is don't get too fixated on the frames per second, because it's also about frame timing, and that's where the G2 seemed to really, really suffer. When I looked down on the ground, there was just so many micro stutters. In fact, there wasn't even micro stutters, there were major stutters, quite honestly, in some instances. So obviously right now it's nowhere near where it should be, but it will get better. But right now, as I say, xplane 12, it needs some serious work. And of course it will do, it's an early access. I continue to love both sims, absolutely, but as I say, Microsoft Flight Simulator, if you're wondering, is of course better because it's an older product. Thank you so much for watching, folks. Please let me know in the comments what do you think, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye bye for now.